Welcome to episode 25 of the Ozheads podcast, and it's we're down one, we're up one. So Tim is away; he's doing promos in Turkey and promoting Karatoba, but we're up one because we are joined by a very special guest, one St. Nicholas Libretti from JR Cigar and from whatever else it is, because I know you'll do a lot more than JR. But dude, here's the funny thing: is like. You'll tell everybody who you are and all that shit, whatever. But for years, you were trying to get me to go up there to your studio, which is beautiful. It has all the signage, and it's actually like legit, and you have cameras and everything. And it never happened. No. And now you're no longer doing it. So now, by your good graces, you're here in Nashville on the barren wall in a conference room, and we're finally together doing a podcast.
Listen, well, first of all, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Listen, it wasn't always glamour. I mean, that room that we built into a studio was a file room. I painted the walls in there myself.
But you had all the logos.
Me and Chris,
and everything.
I got those printed. I put those up. Me and Chris organized everything. That was literally a file storage room for 20 years. Yeah, we built it.
It looks like a studio. It looks legit.
We built it, and I'm still going to be popping on the show occasionally. Like I said, if you ever get your tuchus up to New Jersey. That's definitely an episode. I'll tell Secret Chris, like, hey, I gotta do this one.
The wife and I were just talking like places to go, and I said we got to put it on our bucket list, New Jersey.
Listen, New Jersey is
I'm just busting.
It's a happening place, man. Food is amazing. Yeah. Italian food. I mean, look, I know Nashville is a food city, but New Jersey, let's just say I have better barbecue in New Jersey than you have Italian food here.
That's probably not hard to do because I think it's still like the masses, especially out where we live, they think like good Italian food is Carrabba's. You know what I mean? It's just like it's garbage. It is. It's garbage.
I will say, in terms of chain Italian places, Carrabba's, I can get by. Olive Garden like is sick.
That's a Post Malone favorite, Olive Garden.
Well, look at him.
Yeah, I know. Look at him.
I love him, but look at him. Well, that's the kind of guy who would, who loves Denny's and an Olive Garden. Yeah. He doesn't know fine cuisine.
The best Italian food is the one that my wife makes. I eat her pasta every single night. She's a great cook.
Dude, I'll take you to a strip mall in New Jersey that'll blow your socks off.
Here's even more of a random. Some of the best Italian food, kid you not, was in the Dominican Republic. There was a little restaurant in a strip mall in Santiago that Ernesto used to take my Condor and I to. And it was like every time we would go down there, it's like, we got to have Italian for lunch. And this food was and I ordered the same thing every time. And it was always so
Listen, South and Central America, a lot of those places, there was a big migration of Italians there, especially after the war. So like Argentina, huge Italian population. I had cousins who used to work there. One of my cousins owned a trucking business. Legit, it was trucking. It wasn't like anything shady. It was probably shady. But no, a lot of Italians.
The cigarettes that fell off the back of the truck, kind of a thing.
You do what you got to do. But no, I think even more so, like New York City, they're like obnoxious with it. It's always like some fancy like Carbone where you're overpaying.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the two best regions in the world or in America for American versions of Italian food are New Jersey and Long Island. Really? Long Island, you don't even.
Best pizza. If I'm going to Jersey, what's the best pizza?
It depends on what you like. We have some, like, if you want like a New York-ish style slice, like that typical, whatever, like football pizza as they call it, throw a dime anywhere. You're going to hit a place. There's a few really good, if you look, there's one place called Angeloni's that they call it Thinny Thin. It's almost got the consistency of a Cheez-It. It is super thin. You pick it up, it's like a piece of paper, nice crunch.
Fold it a little bit. Yeah.
If you like something a little bit heavier, there's a place in Boonton by where I work called the Reservoir Tavern that it'll put you to sleep, but it is real old school like Ginzo stuff, like real good.
I also like the brick oven kind of pizza, like the true Italian.
So
pizza.
I will say, because
less is more on pizza for me. Like I don't need 500 different things on my pizza.
The one place the rest of the country is catching up in terms of pizza is like the coal fire style. Yeah. I went to a place. I was at a resort in South Carolina with my girlfriend and her family, and there was a place there called like Coastal Crust, and it was like the Italian, upper echelon for South Carolina. But they had like a whole coal fire setup, and it was actually very good. It was very good. But it's when you're trying to replicate the New York style of pizza that it's the water, it's the humidity, it's the temp. It really is. I mean, I am a bottled water drinker, except in New York City. You can go into a bathroom at a gas station in the middle of Manhattan and pour a glass of water out of that sink, and it is delicious. It's because it comes from the reservoir. It's reservoir.
And they say that's the secret to New York pizza.
And there's plenty of guys. Brad down in Boca. There's a guy who does bagels. One guy does bagels. One guy does pizza there, and he imports all of his water from the Northeast, from New York.
I can't find a good bagel in Nashville. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of touch. But
do you know what
when I lived in LA, there was some good bagel spots.
Well, there was a lot of Jewish people. And that's you actually. It's the same thing with pizza. You need a good amount of population of the culture that makes it, because they're going to make it the right way. And then there's a demographic of people who will gravitate to that. So you can go and put a pastrami sandwich place in the middle of LA. There's so many Jewish residents that you can survive just on them, and then by word of mouth.
That's a good point.
My thing with bagels outside of the Northeast that I don't get, just call it the water, the flavor, whatever, they just don't make them big enough. They're just flimsy.
Yeah.
That's if you at least made them bigger. Like, you go to a bagel shop, like the one by my house, it's called Baldwin Bagels. It's a drop in the water of the bagel universe. It's nothing super duper special. If I gave you an everything bagel from there, you would pass out. You probably never tasted anything like it.
That's my everything and garlic bagels. I used to, like, when I lived in LA, go like on a Saturday morning, wake up, go get a sack full of garlic bagels with cream cheese, some strong coffee. I was like,
dude, a good veggie cream cheese. And these places now, they're doing cinnamon raisin cream cheese.
Real cream cheese. No, none of that bullshit.
I like a little veggie. I like a little crunch in there. Toasted.
I like the cream chease with a little bit of the salmon in it too. Whatever that is.
Oh,
that's
lox.
Okay. That's okay. That's
lox is a big thing. But yeah, every time I go to Einstein Bagels or one of these bagel chain places, if I'm out of town, I'm like, guys, big start, just make them bigger. That's your number one thing. Just make them bigger. That's my thing with a lot of restaurants, like, shitty sandwich places. Can I curse on here, by the way?
I think so. Can you curse?
Yeah.
You got the thumbs up. Cole's like, yeah, go ahead. Curse
shitty sandwich place versus like a good sandwich place. Obviously, there's like a quality of bread, a quality of cold cuts. But the crappy place, even if it's crappy ingredients, they still never, at least pack it out. Pack out the sandwich. If you can disguise a lot of flaws by just giving me more of it. You know what I mean? And 100%. That's what I think bagel places don't understand is if you just make a business opportunity.
Somebody can come into Nashville, open up a legit New York style bagel place, and they would probably crush it. Unless it probably exists already, because Cole will probably tell me, have you ever been to XYZ?
There's probably some hipster place downtown. I'm sure. You have all these transplants now from the Northeast. I guarantee day one, some yuppie couple from Manhattan is like, where can we get a bagel? And somebody,
and they're gonna open it up.
Well, listen, but that's how you spread it. I mean, Austin has got actually like kind of a booming food scene, like outside of barbecue these days. I was in Birmingham, Alabama with Brad, my boss, and a couple of other people. We went to we did an event at the Barber Motorcycle Museum. It was like this big motorcycle fest, and they have like an official track there. There were people racing vintage bikes. It was like there was Harleys there, but it wasn't like Harleys. It was like Triumph, Indian, Yamaha. It was like all like the kind of more niche bikes. And we were at the Triumph tent. And Birmingham, which when I went to, I'm like, dude, I'm going to Birmingham, Alabama. Right. What the hell am I in for at this place? Very clean, like kept its like kind of southern charm town. And we went to an Italian place one night. Again, if it was in my neighborhood, I'd probably go to 5 other places.
Right.
But for Birmingham, Alabama,
pretty good.
All
right, let's bring it back to cigars.
Of course. See, that's always the problem with podcasts.
I know.
No, dude, I'm guilty of it.
I've seen you and Chris like
how often do we talk about
pontificate
movies?
About like movies for an hour. So it's like I'm going to try to dial it back into cigars. Tell everybody, like, A, your first cigar. B, why did you get into cigars, and what has kept you doing it for the last however many years you've been doing it?
So my first ever premium or my first ever cigar?
No, premium, because everybody smoked a backwoods when they're playing
Yeah,
poker in college.
I was underage smoking like Dutch Masters mowing the lawn.
Yeah, I had a backwoods with the boys when we were playing poker.
But my first ever premium was I bought 2 different cigars. So I'm kind of counting them both because I smoked them the next days. My first ever one was a Gloria Cubana Series R Maduro.
Okay.
60 ring gauge because I thought it looked cool. So I went to a shop. You might even sell to them. I can't remember the name of it. They're in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
I know we have an account in Bloomfield.
Yeah, it's probably they're a good, cool shop. I guess the name is escaping me. And I'm like, I want this one because it looked cool. And then I'm like, what's just like a really good one that I've never heard of? Now this is, 2009.
Okay.
So like,
what'd they say?
They gave me a Tatuaje Havana 6.
It's a pretty good start. It's a pretty good
The
start.
La Gloria, I really enjoyed. The Tatuaje, I mean, it was awesome, but it almost like got me high. Like that's how I had never smoked a cigar like that before. I enjoyed it so much.
The number 5 in that brand, the little tiny ones, they were like, oh my God, dude. I used to beg Pete to send me boxes of those things. Condor even loved them. I mean, they were so good.
It's funny when I started like buying cigars, because back then, I mean, I think the Havana 6, this is still the logo on it. It had like the fleur de lis.
Yep.
As you recall, there was a whole issue with my current company on that back in the day. But that was the only reference I had. I couldn't remember the name, Tatuaje. So I would go into shops. I'm like, it's got like the French symbol on it. And people kept giving me like Montes, like Monte Cristo, thinking that was it. Like, no, it's not. I know what Monte Cristo is. It's not that. So those are my first 2 premiums, which I think...
It's a pretty good start.
Well, I think it's a reason why, as much as I love any good premium cigar, and I'm very close. Obviously, Altadis is a sister company of ours, and I work a lot with them. I've always gravitated towards the underground punk rock boutique side of this industry because that's what brought me into it. How I actually got into the industry was... Yeah,
like how do you go from like, okay, I enjoyed a cigar, but now I want to make a living doing
pure luck. So the JR Cigar in Whippany on Route 10, I used to go there with my dad when I was like a kid because they would just let you bring kids in there. But they had, I don't know if you were in it back in the day, we had a whole, where the lounge is now was a whole men's shop. It had t-shirts and jeans and candy and whatever. So my dad would go, he would buy Partagas and whatever back when he smoked. So he always knew that building. And then I was looking for a summer job once. I applied there, didn't hear anything back. A couple of weeks later, my parents were very much like, you'll never have to worry about food or like clothes, but once I was 17, 18, you want to go to the movies? We're not giving you $1. Like, you got to figure it out. So I always worked some kind of summer job. So I was back home going into my junior year of college, and I needed money that summer. I had blown everything at college trying to get chicks. It didn't work. And so I applied for a job at a deli. It's called, it was a deli bagel shop. And they're like, all right, you got it. Be here at 5 a.m. tomorrow to start like making the bagels and like getting everything set up. And I'm like nowadays that wouldn't bother me. Now I'm up early anyway.
Right.
But back then, thank you. We good? There we go. I'm like, I got up 5 a.m. to go make bagels. So my first day was the next day. That afternoon, I get a call from someone at JR. Like, hey, we are going through, like, we need a summer associate. Do you want to, like, come in for an interview? And I'm like, yes.
Yes, I don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning.
I went in that afternoon, showed up in a shirt and tie for an interview for the store. I was 19. Like, I showed up in a shirt and tie. They're like, yeah, go out. I think you're good. Go out and talk to Felix in the store. By the way, never called the bagel place. They just never showed up.
You just never showed up.
Never showed
just
up.
Bailed.
But they never called me, so I think they understood. Yeah. Like that I wasn't gonna.
That's damn
and then
early.
I worked that summer. Absolutely fell in love with it.
What were you doing?
I was at that point because I was the young guy. I had an earring. I had a chin strap.
You had an earring?
Yeah. You can still see the hole in there.
I got 2.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I had.
They
both
never
ears
close
at one
up,
point.
by the way.
They never do.
No.
They never do.
I know.
So I was basic associate things. I was sweeping. I helped clean the glass. I wasn't on register yet because you had to like learn that. So I was doing kind of all the the young guy work. But absolutely fell in love with it and just really started learning. And at the time, we had some really good employees. Felix, who's still one of the managers there, he's been there for years. He's the mayor. Anthony, who now he works with me in corporate. He was my original videographer and co-host for all our YouTube videos. He basically runs our entire website now, like builds it all out, does all our landing pages. But then we had this like a lot of older guys who were just like retired cops and like they didn't really know that much about cigars.
Right.
So by the end of that summer, because I started like reading Aficionado, going on the internet and reading about it, I started becoming like, oh, this is the kid. He'll know what this new cigar is.
Yeah.
And then I went to school only 2 hours away. I started coming home any weekend I could to work. I would work all my winter vacations, summer vacations. Graduated a year and a half later. Started working there full time. I was going to then work there full time in the store and go for my master's. As soon as I was working there full time, they made me a manager. So now I'm one of the supervisors there. Anthony was my boss. And now I'm like running events in the store. I'm starting to meet guys like Matt Booth, Christian Aroa. That's how I met Matt for the first time. He came to do an event back when he had his Dragon Ball Z hair and no facial hair.
That was the Usual Suspects era.
Yeah, that was the Usual Suspects. Right as like you guys are like starting to make it real hot. And then I was looking for my master's in history because I didn't know if I ever had like a future in this business. And then we had a new CEO named Rob Norris, who I had talked to a few times, and by chance I had won a trip to the Altadis factory in the DR. I sold the most H. Upmann legacies or whatever. Altadis is really awesome now and like making some top of the line stuff. 15 years ago, it was tough goings. Like they were the Trinidad Paradox. I don't know if you remember that one.
Do not.
It was exactly. So I sold the most of this nonsense H. Upmann, and they sent me to the DR, and I met our new CEO, and I had a couple of drinks. I was a young guy, and we just kind of like throwing him like, oh, this is what we should be doing. We should be focusing on doing this and this. A week later, he approached Anthony and I like, hey, like, what would you like? You want to come and like run like our social media and like do that in, like for a corporate? This is 09.
Okay.
No,
10.
No, this is 2014.
Okay.
So I started in the store in 09.
Okay.
So this is a couple of summers and like working there full time for about a year or so. So this is October of 14 we started. Right away, they sent me and him down to the first Kentucky Barn Smoker, interviewed Jonathan, interviewed JD.
How'd that go?
Good. I mean, he's just like, he's always just been JD.
Yeah.
He kind of knows who I am now. He's just always so busy. I don't have the relationship I have like with you or some of the other guys. Like I thought I saw him, I think he said like, oh, how's your daughter doing? I'm like, not here. Yeah. Like not here.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Michael Rosales says the same thing because I post my niece sometimes on my social. So Michael, like, oh, how's your daughter? I'm like, no, she's still my niece. But went down to the Barn Smoker, my first ever in-office interview, and I wish we saw the footage when YouTube took our footage down. It went away. I think we might have it somewhere. It was Matt Booth in a back office, and this is 2014. Again, I'm 22. I'm trying to like look hip. I wore a pink button shirt with a black vest and like a tie that like, it was like a pink and blue tie that like matched the shirt. I'm like, oh, because it was like that kind of hipster style. Like people were like wearing shirt, tie, vest, and jeans. It was like that kind of thing going on.
I remember.
So, and I remember like I really tried to make it funny. Like we did a regular interview and then we had like a bunch of outtakes where like he was showing me how to knit sweaters. And Matt was a perfect guy to do that with.
I was going to say,
he's a silly goose.
That's the perfect guy to be funny with. Yeah.
So I did that. I helped build up our social media platform, started doing the videos, did that for a couple of years, kind of worked my way up through the ranks. And then right before COVID hit, or I guess we're in the midst of COVID, my buddy Dane, who now works for Davidoff, he's the senior manager for Davidoff, but he had worked for Altadis, and he's like, oh, it's JR's like 50th anniversary in like next year or something like that. So I just randomly put this whole pitch deck together. Me and you had started becoming like friendly at this point.
Yeah.
And I pitched it to my boss, and I'm like, we really should do like a series of like limited editions for the 50th with these guys.
Great idea.
And here's who I picked, and these were still the best ones. you, Aganorsa, Alec and Bradley, who were, especially at that point, super hot. Like they were just coming off of the Kintsugi. Like, so they were hot. Steve. Saka. Nick Melillo. These were like the main guys that I'm like, we should be doing with this. Of course, a bunch of other companies that had to get folded in for the politics of it. But I ran that mostly by myself. I didn't do a lot of the logistics of like the packaging or whatever, but the marketing plans, the schedulings, the calling you up, and I got some pushback.
Which was a pretty big undertaking because to manage various entities.
And it was one after another.
Yeah.
It was a release.
That's no small task.
And I got a lot of pushback from the team that was there at the time, which didn't make any sense because they were like, oh, well, I'm just using you as an example. I don't know if they said you, but like, well, we only do $30,000 a month with Crowned Heads. Why would we do this? I'm like, because if we make it cool enough, everyone who buys Crowned Heads has to buy this from us. Right. And they're going to want to. And then they're in our email list and then we get them on everything else. Well, I don't know if you've seen our numbers with you since then. We do considerably more than $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, and the easy part of it for me, which is different in what I do now, is that I didn't really have to worry about branding that much because I wanted you guys to be the focal point. So I don't know if you remember what I asked you when I asked you to do this. I'm like,
Nashville centric.
I'm like, make it just the most Crowned Heads, Nashville, like anything that you've been kind of screwing around in your mind that you want to do this, do it. And Mother Church was the inaugural one, sold out in relatively quickly. And then that was a big success. And so they made me the brand manager. So essentially handling like our private label portfolio, which is now developed into, special project. I do a lot of different things.
Today, what is your official title?
Official title is Senior Brand Manager.
Okay.
What I'm mostly in charge of is basically all of our exclusives, from JR Alternatives to Mother Church, special 5-packs, anything like that. I'm in charge of Revival. I'm in charge of creating every aspect, from working on the branding with creative to like what I want it to look like, to creating it in the system, codes, pricing, all that. Getting it here, the logistics of getting it here, using importers, calculating FET tax, all that. Putting together the marketing campaign. Luckily now we have a very good head of marketing who can help me with that, and we have a good social media team. So launching it, and then working with our merchandising team to merchandise it and make sure it keeps selling. And last time I checked, we're at about 150 different brands. Some of them have crazy. Some of them have 100 SKUs each. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, but now you've got experience in pretty much every facet of the industry.
That's what which
is pretty unique.
I like when people have that. I like when you have somebody who screwed around in a retail store for a little bit to get that part. I like that I worked in marketing. I like that I'm currently, I have a lot of
You're doing product development
and the purchasing, and also like the logistics, man. And I've told you this probably in our calls. At least for me, I don't know, you're a lot more seasoned in this. I'm still relatively new. The easiest part about making a new cigar is the cigar. Like, it's everything else. It's like, send the 4-packs back. The cigars don't fit. Send them back to China. I need an extra 1/4 of an inch. All right, now send it here. Now measure
it. That's
so
true.
Who's importing it? How much is the import fee? Should we air freight it? Is that going to be cheap? And then calculating all this actual cost. Do we want to do GWP? What's that going to eat into our, margin is the bit. So it is a lot. But I got to tell you, for as stressed as it makes me, I've never had more fun.
That's the main thing, man. It's like I always told myself, like, whenever I said this back in the day, if this ever stops being fun, I'm going to find something else to do. But now it's too late. I've been doing this half my life. I don't know how to do anything else. So it's like I got no choice. So even if it isn't fun, I still got to freaking do this.
Yeah, but I think that
but it is.
Particularly you, I mean, listen, you're very ingrained in the cigar industry, but and you know the blending process, what makes a good blend, but your creative eye and your branding is, I think, one of the things that really stood out for me with Crowned Heads in the beginning like that just, as a history major, that old-fashioned like Americana style. I just fell in love with it. And listen, for a new brand, a smaller brand like you were at the time, you can make the best cigar in the world. If no one's going to come up and try it, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So you have that ability to get someone to pay attention to a thing, and then you have that ability to keep them by making it a good brand. So I think if you decided, hey, I don't want to do cigars anymore, you could form a consultancy group. Like, you have transferable skills. But like, just in terms of, you can go like, hey, I'm starting a new liquor company or a new whatever, a new apparel company. There are some people who just know, I don't want to say what looks cool, because I feel like that
it's instinct.
It's an instinct of like, this is going to work.
Not something you learn. It's just something you innately know, kind of a thing.
Right.
I think. But to your point, it's funny because you said that all that stuff that we created in the early, now we're at a juncture where we're turning the apple cart upside down. We're going, okay, rebrand everything. Let's just completely start over.
Well, because you listen, you have to do that when you're not known. You need to do something, and like, it's not like you guys are doing anything gimmicky, but you had to do something like really unique that really set you apart. Now you've got everybody. You've got the people. Like, obviously, you always want to grow your base,
sure,
but you have your diehards, and you have people who are like, who now know the Crown Heads name. Now it's about doing exactly what you did with your rebrand of like, now we got to give them consistency in presentation. I want to have a section of a store that's Crown Heads, and because a year and a half ago, you could have a whole Crown Head section. Somebody walking by who's not,
including me. That's what the impetus for all this. We were in Casa de Monte Cristo in Nashville. And we were having a sales meeting, and we all walked in to kind of do an analysis of our space, basically. Right. And I objectively looked at it, and I'm like, there's La Vereda next to Juarez, next to Mil Diaz, next to Fort Kick. And even though I'm the brand owner, it's like nothing tied it together to tell me that was all Crown Heads. So I'm like, okay, this is a problem. And that's really what kind of started the whole movement towards. But what was scary is I've seen a lot of rebrands in our industry where it worked against them. And it was, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I was so scared to change. I'm like, we got one shot at doing this. We either do it right, or we could be completely sabotaging ourselves.
Well, I think for the guys who it either didn't work with or who it couldn't work with, for example, like if Vahi tried to do a consolidated rebrand, it's like not like, that's not why people like Vahi.
Right.
They obviously he does great blends. Same thing with Dion. Like, obviously he does tremendous blends, but people liked the kind of chaotic tinfoil hat, like just randomness. Mm-hmm. And I particularly liked his rebrand. I thought the bands looked really cool, and I was somebody who would get very confused by Illusione brands. But I think that was a little bit of the draw for some people. And so when he went to more uniformed, some people were just not a fan of it. I particularly was. I think with you, I think people were a fan of your cigars. And
I think it's like you take La Periosa for an example. It's like
a biggest hit, I'm telling you.
It's been out for 10 years. And I would put that blend up against anything in the industry. It's fantastic. It's made at my father's cigars for 10 years. It's the original 2014 Las Calaveras blend. It's got checks all the boxes, but for whatever reason, I think it was underperforming. Now you dress it up and you actually encourage trial, and people are like, whoa, what is this? It's been out for 10 years, but now I got new people trying it. Now there's a buzz about it. And I think it actually turned out really, really well.
If I were to like hire like a scientist, I'm like, if you want to do a study on like the commercial side of the cigar industry and how the consumer reacts to certain things, study Crown Heads, because you guys are textbook into like, perfect example, La Periosa. Las Calaveras 2014 comes out. Huge hit. Mm-hmm. Huge. Highly rated. Now probably I think there's different Mount Rushmores with cigars. I think in terms of like LEs, I think it's in there with like the Monster series. Like,
that's a huge compliment.
If you try to think of other seasonal releases that have been around that long, what else does people still get jacked up about besides Monster and Las Calaveras? I can't even think of one.
I can't either, to be honest with you. I'm not just saying that, but I can't really think
No.
of one. But it's just like and even now I'm like going, how much longer can we keep doing this? You know, and I don't know. I
think you still got it in the tank, but the point is that you did that. Everyone loved it. Year and a half later, or even the next year, you release that cigar as La Periosa, and you tell everybody it's that cigar. You smoke them side by side. It's that blend, and I'm sure it's still like sold. It's sold enough that you kept it around for this long.
Actually, I will tell you that when we released La Periosa at the trade show in 2015, I believe it was, to this date, it was one of our most successful launches, numbers-wise.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
I mean, I remember it.
But then I got a lot of consumer backlash, like, oh, wait a second, you know, now my 2014 Las Calaveras, I'm sitting on our worthless because you've done this and I was
First
shocked.
of all, who the hell was still sitting? Like, I couldn't imagine anyone still sitting on boxes of that after those first few months.
I wish I knew why the original was such a hit as it was. And I part of it I have to attribute to Half Wheel. Charlie Minato gave it a 94 back when that was like unheard of.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what kind of triggered the fury over Las Calaveras. I give Charlie a lot of credit.
I mean, it was also, listen, it was two companies. I'm not going to say either of you were up and comers at the time. You know, Pepin obviously has been in the industry for, however many years.
Yeah.
And so were you. But it was right at that pinnacle where like Crown Head's starting to get some real steam. 2014. So you're what, 5 years in at this point?
We are 3 years in. We started shipping in November of 11. So yeah, about 3 years.
So you're 3 years in. What do you have out there? You have 4 Kicks.
4 Kicks, Headley Grange,
J.D. Howard. J.D. Howard was great. I love J.D. Howard.
And then we decided, I went back to Pete Johnson. And I said, hey, can you get me a meeting again with Hyman? And he said, yeah, man, Yanni and I are going to go down there in January of 14. And so I said, great, thank you so much. And so I owe a lot to Pete, obviously.
Right.
And he opened that door. And in that trip, we did Las Calaveras, the OG. We did Jericho Hill and Tennessee Waltz all on that trip.
And all still around. All
thriving, but that's all that credit goes to my father.
But and you got to remember, 2014, 2012 was Antillas, Flor de las Antillas.
Yes,
I believe. Right. I think 2014 might have been La Bijou.
Could have been.
Like right in that era. So this is height of my father. So now you have my father, like everything he's touching is going gold. And then you have this smaller boutique company that has a lot of history in the industry, has been getting some recognition on their things, and they're coming together for this really cool looking, it's got an awesome kind of emotional story to it. Packaging was cool. And then you smoke it and it's fun. It was lightning in a bottle at that time. So much so that, like, listen, except for, I don't know, I think maybe, like on the occasion where maybe you made too many, you sell out of Las Calaveras every year. And this is 10 years later.
Yeah.
Different blends, different colorings, all that stuff. So that lightning has mostly stayed. It's not like it's
dwindled waned.
A little bit, but also the industry is just, it's getting so saturated.
The industry is so different than it was in 2014 too. You know what I mean? It's just like the industry has changed so much since like my CAO days to like the 14 to like now. I think it's one of those things, I've told you this before, like you either evolve with the market or you get left behind.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like that to that point, like LEs, like we always talk about LEs. And I remember doing an interview back in 12, I think, saying all I want to do is build brands. I don't want to do anything one-off. I just want to do a brand and build it, and which all sounded very noble and whatever. Right. But then the reality set in where like people want what's new. What is new? What is new? What is new? And then, I think Mule Kick was our first LE.
Yeah. And
that really kind of triggered the need for like, okay, you need to reinvent the wheel continually and going. And to this day, we're about to drop 3 LEs in succession in August, September, and October. They're part of the business model now.
Yeah, but I hate that that's what it has to be done. Like, listen, I love making new brands too. I mean, we're releasing a ton of new stuff in the next couple of months.
People want it though. What's the first question they ask?
I know.
What's new? What's new? What's new?
But it used to be at the trade show. Like my first trade show was 2015 in New Orleans. I think that was the year you did La Carême.
2015 was La Periosa.
Was it? I thought it was La Carême. Because I remember having, what are the donuts they have in the
beignets?
I remember having a beignet.
Well, I remember 15 because that's when our daughter was born. And I had to go back and forth from the hospital to the trade show and in a different state from Florida to New Orleans. No, you know what? I think you're right. I think it was Carême and Moraes.
Yes, it was. Yes, yeah, because Moraes kind of got overshit.
Yeah,
you thought Moraes was going to be the big hit.
I did. I thought.
But again, this is why you're a case study of consumer behaviors. You launch Moraes, thinking this is going to be the big one. It's another My Father brand, etc.
All Garcia tobacco.
Yeah.
Corojo wrap. I mean, everything. It checked all the boxes.
I don't know what your numbers were with that, but overall, it seems like it flopped.
It did.
It flopped.
It did.
Circle back 6 years later. I'm down here doing the event from Mother Church with you at the CDM Nashville, and I'm like, let's do like a Q&A. Like, people ask John questions because you're the reclusive genius. You're always in your lab doing stuff like Dr. Frankenstein. But a bunch of people ask, like, are you ever going to bring back Los Moraes? Do you have any more Los Moraes? And I remember like starting to see it on like Instagram, people dying for that cigar. And it's like, well,
where were
idiots,
you?
Where were you 4 years ago?
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too.
And that's the thing is it's become, I remember a trade show being like, oh, somebody's releasing something new. What a big deal. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, oh, you're not releasing anything new. You're a piece of garbage.
Yeah, it's a big deal if you don't release something
Charlie
new.
will put this in like, oh, they didn't release anything new this year. Now, I've talked to you about this. I love Broadway. I think Broadway is going to be big time. I thought you could have gotten away this year with just the rebrands for you. I think are going to be the equivalent of doing a new brand,
particularly
La Periosa.
I think La Periosa too. It was funny because when I would take somebody in our booth in April, was it April? We did that show.
Mm-hmm.
I would start showing them the new one, Broadway, and then I'd say, "Oh, we're rebranding the other ones. Here's Mil Diaz. Here's Mil Diaz Maduro," and then I would take them to La Periosa and. To a person, the reaction for La Periosa's new look was all, oh shit.
Yeah.
It was just like, what the, you know what I mean?
And you were able, it was definitely the colors. The colors really set it apart. But you had that same kind of color scheme on the original, but how you were able to take the inspiration from the original and then how you've made all of your rebrands kind of fit, like taking enough that is recognizable from its original thing, but then making it uniform, I think
that was a process.
Listen, Brad is not someone who's easily impressed. And after we met and then we went and like looked through the glass case and even he said, oh, La Periosa, like that one looks really
looks fantastic.
Really, really good.
But it did, the way we incorporated like some of the old iconography on the sides of the bands, that kind of like, okay. And then spelling it out underneath it, La Periosa, Mil Diaz, Broad, I got to give a lot of credit and a little bit of a shout out to Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos Fondier is a gentleman that we worked with for over a year. We're still working with him now, but for over a year on that rebrand. And I mean, it literally took every bit of that time, like constantly. Trying to get the new Hero logo, trying to figure out what's going to look like on the boxes, the shelf talker, this, that, and amazing artist. He's been doing it for 20 years. So we were very fortunate, very serendipitous that we met him. So if he's ever watching this, I owe him a lot. But
I think it turned. I mean, it was one of the talks of the show that people discussed. I mean, there wasn't a ton of brand new stuff, but again, it's so saturated. Everyone could have had something brand new. I
still geek out at the show, and I ask people like you, like what is out there that people are talking about or that's new, that's good or whatever. Every year I always look for that.
See, I didn't get to do a lot of, I didn't pay attention that much to it this year just because my job is so different.
Yeah. I
was there to like talk business, to like, some of it on some of the new stuff, but like going over numbers with vendors. Hey, we're down, we're up. This is what we want to do. Like some merchandising stuff and also private label planning.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to like try a bunch of new. I think Broadway might have been the first new thing that I tried. And I'm pretty sure you sent me a couple of sneaky samples before the show
I
happened.
always do that.
Yeah,
I love doing that. I like seeding stuff out, and you don't know what it is, and then just smoke it. Give me your feedback.
So I'm telling you, that's something that we do on that we did on the podcast. Is we would do blend testing of like your blanks, like you know your random ones that you would send. That was always really fun. But no, I think the rebrand is tremendous. I'm really excited to see.
There's more to come.
You told me some of the other brands that like you're working on next. I don't know how much you told them, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, you can. I mean, I've been pretty open with it. I mean, we're going to roll out the second half of the rebrand October, November.
Okay.
Everything's in production, the materials, all that stuff. So we're well ahead of the game on that. But it's going to be in that same look of the rebrand. Tennessee Waltz will be a regular production brand in 3 sizes.
Okay.
Including the original size. We're just calling it the OG. Then we're doing a Corona Gorda CG, which is a 5 5/8 46. And then we're doing a Toro 654 in Waltz, rebranded. And then giving Jericho Hill a facelift. That's going to look fantastic because that cigar to me is still one of the best things in our portfolio. But people, you look at it now and it's like the boxes are very just kind of dusty and tired, and there's no real call to try me.
It had its moment, but then again, the problem with it now is how good your rebrand looked.
Yeah.
Putting that next to original Mil Diaz, original whatever, like, all right, it fits in here. Putting it next to the rebrand, it's like, oh yeah, this needs a couple coats of
I
paint.
go back on the racks now in the warehouse. And I'm like, God, Jericho Hill. It's just like, you want to encourage trial.
Right.
It's kind of hard to do it with that packaging.
Yeah.
At that time, that packaging is exactly what I wanted. But now in 2025, it's like it needed a facelift. So I'm excited for that.
This is phenomenal.
I had a feeling you would like that. What did you think of the first cigar?
I liked it.
You didn't love it?
I like this one better.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. What you're smoking right now is literally a value prop. Really? I'm gonna try to bring that thing in around $6, definitely under $7 a stick, in a 10 count bundle.
I'm gonna show you some numbers later. It's funny, like even within the same industry, like what a company like yours considers a value product, and I actually just did a full brand segmentation.
I can't compete with the $2.50.
Dude, when I tell you, again, I don't want to say it out loud. I'll show you the numbers that we do on the $2.50 stuff, and I think you'd cry.
I can't do it.
I'm mad that it still exists. Yeah. Like at that level. I think there's always going to be a good place for value product, but as the industry has adapted and everything's gone up, like 15 years ago, you could get a decent cigar for $3 retail. Like there's a couple things out there that for $3 retail you would get decent.
Right.
Now, I mean, the only reason we've been able to maintain the quality on our $3 cigars is because we just take a hit on them a little bit because we want to try to maintain that value thing.
Right.
But now, like, if somebody your pricing is right, if someone's like, oh, look how good the cigar is, it's only going to be $7. I mean, I remember working in the store where like a $10 cigar was insane.
Yeah.
An $18 one, like when we first got Davidoff in when I was 24 years old, I'm like, what is this, like just for millionaires? Like, how does anyone buy this?
Yeah.
That's
true.
So
it's changed. It's changed. Yeah. Anything under $10 now is a value prop.
There was one cigar, and it was very good. I think I wasn't as experienced back then. I didn't have the access to everything I have access to now. But do you remember the Partagas? I think it was called something vintage. It had the green band, and it came with like a glass tube.
Nah.
I'll show you a picture. And they were like, and this is over 10 years ago, they were like $17.
That was unheard of.
And I remember one day, it was like we had like a big event, like our Havana Nights event, and I had busted my ass. I said everything. I had to like build the entire event with Anthony during the day, go home and shower, put on my Guayabera, and come back and like work the whole thing at night. And I cut my finger, like putting posts together, and it was a whole thing. So as a reward, they're like, I'll let you sign one of these out. And I thought I'm like, oh, I'm in the big time now. Yeah. Now, like vendors give me $30 cigars all the time, and I'm like, it's fine.
I smoked $100 cigar a couple weeks ago, unbanded, but it was $100. It sells for $100. I was just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Will you tell me off camera who it was?
I'll tell you off camera, but I'm not going to tell you right now. But I just didn't. And I smoked a different cigar from that same brand, substantially less money, but it was phenomenal. I was like, this is really good.
I think that the only way to sell a cigar like that, at least in my mind, then again, I'm a straightforward, I'm a purist, is the only way to sell a cigar like that is you can't say it's $100 like worth of good. It's like it's $100 good. You have to say, listen, and it has to be true. It can't be one of those BS marketing stories. We went to Davidoff and we said, find us a pillow you have of the oldest stuff in the factory. Like, well, we have this one set of stuff that's from 1999, but we only have this much of it, and it's this much a pound. And we went, and by the time we did everything, it was $100 a cigar. It's one of those first, like, if you can sell it on like, listen, it might not taste the greatest, but this is just the price of it from all the different factors. Yeah. Okay, because like then you're smoking this. You're smoking the
story is true.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
Well, yes. But how many of those scotches? It's like, hey, like I think Macallan, like we found barrels that were like sunken ship. Whether it's true or not, if you're drinking that for $100 a shot, it's because of the story. Like it's probably not going to taste good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And how many cigars have you? And I remember the Partagas 150. I can say this because they don't sell them anymore. That was $100 15 years ago because they didn't make it. It was whatever was there. And I smoked one at a trade show once. And at this point, those cigars were close to 20 years old. I think they were rolled in like 1989, that whole series. And at this point, they were $150 each. And the guys at General, we went out to dinner at the trade show and they gave us one. And I remember thinking like, there's nothing left of this. There's no flavor. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Because but I wasn't smoking it because I thought it was going to be a great cigar. Right, I was smoking it because it was rolled 25 years ago.
You mentioned Macallan's. I don't drink. I gave up spirits in 2010, but I got a funny story for you about one of the most interesting case studies in marketing for me has been Pappy Van Winkle. I know nothing about it at all, but here's the funny story. So I got to say, it might have been 12, 14 years ago. My uncle, who's, he dabbles in spirits and stuff, he sent me a text and he said, hey, do you know any store where I can get this Pappy Van Winkle out? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's around. I had no idea.
Right. Yeah.
No idea. And so I started looking around. I can't find it anywhere. It's like going for like $400, $500 a bottle. And I'm like, I want to do a good deed and find it for him, but I can't find it. Literally that same day, this is the weirdest story ever. A guy walks into this office, and he's got a duffel bag, and he sits down, and he's like a Crown Heads fan. And he's coming back from, I think it was like a Drew Estate barn smoker or something and he just happened to be passing by and introduced himself. And I said, hey, what's going on? We started smoking a cigar and everything. And I said, all right, I'm going to just throw this out here, but do you know about Pappy Van Winkle? And this guy, yeah. I said, where do I get a bottle? I'm trying to hook my uncle up.
Right.
Reaches in a duffel bag, takes out a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, says, here, it's yours. I said, what? He said, no, here, I want you to have it. I never saw the guy again. How weird. I never
saw him again.
It's a true story. And I ended up like bubble wrapping it up and I shipped it to my uncle. And I'm like, here you go, enjoy. I'm like, I have no idea what it is. But how random is that? You put something out there. I always say, put something in the universe and things will happen. And literally, like, I'm like putting this out and this guy walks in the same day, hands me a bottle of this stuff. It just happened to have it. And he's like, here, take it.
Well, there's always that. Whenever you have any one of those niche like things like that, cigar smoking is also a good example. For the regular consumer, I'll use me as a perfect example. I've always been like, as everyone has always been an Opus fan. And some of them were better than others, but I've always tried to get try one of whatever. The one I was looking for the longest time was called the Forbidden 13. And it had a secondary band with a 13 on it. Looking for this thing for years. Asked our rep at Fuente, like, dude, I'll buy it from you. And he's like, I don't have any.
Wow.
Went to Fuente Mania at Holt 2 years in a row. They didn't have any. sure enough, I'm like smoking with a buddy at our store in Whippany, and a guy comes in who was a customer when I worked in the store, and I'm like, oh, hey. And we start talking about, and he's like one of those like just crazy Fuente guys, like just spends tens of thousands of dollars a year, buys the crazy humidors and everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I was like looking for like a Forbidden 13 forever. Just pulls 2 out of his pocket. He's like, here you go. I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
You know, like to him, it was like, yeah, I got these. Like that's not like for the people who are like very much. I guarantee there's a bunch of like whiskey heads that are like, yeah, dude, I got like 4 bottles of Pappy in my basement. Like, take one. You know that.
Did you smoke the 13?
Oh yeah, I am not.
You don't save it. Like you smoked it.
I don't save it if I only have one, because especially if it's something like not newer, but something that's like fresher, like it's recently out of a box. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's meant to be smoked now.
Yeah.
Maybe a year of age on it, whatever. If I have a couple, I like to space them out. Like I still have one left of pork tenderloin from.
He just redid them.
Yes, but
did you get the new ones?
I did get the new ones.
And are they as good as the OGs?
They were the closest I've ever seen to something like that far apart.
Yeah.
And actually, Hatfield did say the same thing. I think Hatfield gave it like a 91, and they gave the original like a 94. And they were like, it's as close as you could when something like lives in your memory like that. It would be like if you came out with a Las Calaveras that you're going to say, like, this is exactly like 14. And it was like 98%. And not just in terms of the blend and the profile, but like the experience you have smoking it. Because that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to some memory you have smoking that, or maybe it was the first time you ever tried that wrapper.
It's a tough trick to pull because your palate changes in the course of however long it takes between those two. I always thought, like, to that point, pork tenderloin, I always thought that was like the most brilliant presentation, packaging, by far ahead of its time. Still, I think one of the best ever. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. I
hate him every day for doing that, because I'm like, I could have done like this today. It seems like a layup.
Paper, the whole thing.
It seems like a layup. Because also, for as creative and as eye-catching and as desirable as that packaging is, I can get butcher paper from anybody. Like,
I know
he could have gotten all those things. Literally, the packaging on that might have taken him like a couple of weeks. Like tissue paper or butcher paper with a logo on it. I can get that in 2 weeks.
That's why the genius of it is. Like everybody else is like putting all these bells and whistles and clasps.
It was the absolute genius. And then to have a cigar that was
so good.
So I will say, I had bought 5 of them when it wasn't the first rendition. It was like the next round he did in like 2015, I think it was. Mm-hmm. He was doing that tour, like the bus tour.
Yeah.
And usually you had to like buy $300 worth of other stuff to get it. But like he didn't really tell us he was coming in that day. We didn't have time to set up codes. So he was just like, yeah, just sell them like on their own. Like it's fine. And a buddy of mine bought one. I bought 5 off of him. The first 3 of those that I smoked are still some of the best cigar experiences I've ever had. Like I remember them in detail. Then one I gave to my brother right before he went over to Afghanistan. And then I still have the 5th one. I have a Tatuaje bag in my humidors at home. That is kind of like where I put my random stuff. And it's the only one in there without a band on it, because it didn't have
to that point. Give me, besides the pork tenderloin, give me 3 other cigars that stick out in your memory, because you've been doing it for a minute, as like, these were unforgettable. These were like amazing cigar experiences for me. Give me 3 others besides pork tenderloin.
So I'm not blowing smoke here. Well, I mean,
you are kind of. But
anyway. And this was more. There was an emotional attachment to it, but Mother Church, the blends, the test blend, because we didn't touch it after that. You sent me the test blends. I still have a picture of it somewhere on my phone of me smoking that. So you got me that blend. This is October of 20.
Okay.
So it's COVID. I had some really bad stomach and anxiety issues that year. I had to go to get a bunch of tests done. I had massive stomach inflammation and a hernia. I mean, I don't know if you remember me back then. I was a big boy.
I do remember.
I was like 300.
I remember when you were going through all that.
I was like 315 pounds that summer.
That's hard to believe.
It was
I don't
rough.
remember that.
Yeah, it was rough. And one of the ways I lost the weight is like I just quit drinking for like 6 months. Didn't touch a sip of anything. Hardly ate anything.
That'll help.
And I lost like 70 pounds. But not out of like an inspiring, like, oh yeah, you went to the gym. And like, I'm like, no, I just like stopped doing things because having the anxiety on top of it was like, if I just don't drink alcohol, I won't have these problems.
Yeah.
But I started to come out of it. I started working out a little bit. I started feeling better. And then this project is getting going. And you sent me, I think you might have sent me a bundle of them. And I was with my buddy Ryan. I call him Tall Ryan. He's 6'6". And I'm like, hey man, he's not a big cigar smoker, but he enjoys them. I always give him some when he comes by the house. And I'm like, hey, let's go. There was like a local wine bar in the town that I lived in that you could like sit outside. I'm like, let's go. I haven't had a drink in forever. I'm feeling good. It was a beautiful like fall, like 60-degree evening. But let's go smoke these test blends I got for this project. 4 puffs in, and I'm like, this thing is going to be unbelievable. And so it was like a happiness that I hadn't had in a while, plus an amazing blend, plus the first real project. I mean, I didn't do anything with it. You did the blending and the name and all that, but it was the first project that I was a part of in some way, that I was responsible for like getting it going with the masses. And on top of all that, it's just so freaking good.
Give me 2 more.
Okay. Now I got to think.
Now you got to think. Go back into the memory banks.
Now I really got to think. The first time I had Foundation Wise Man Maduro.
Okay.
Because I love the El Wawense, and I had like known of Nick. Like I had met him once. I knew what he did at Drew. And I smoked it once. And I'm like, oh, this is really good. He's gonna do some cool things. And then when I smoked the Maduro, I'm like, oh, he's like on another level. Kind of like if I had gotten into Illusione earlier. Yeah. I'm sure I would have had a similar, like when you kind of stumble upon
Epernay, dude. Epernay.
Yeah, like when you stumble upon the genius.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But so that was one. And then kind of along the same thing, because he ultimately blended this. But I was still working in the store, and we had gotten. I had smoked Ligas before, and I liked Ligas, but the UF13,
okay,
which is one of their Unico series, that one. And listen, those I'm not saying that those are the best cigars I've ever had. I don't like that question. I like your question better. Like what sticks out, because. Listen, I could have smoked that, and then the next day I smoked the same one, and my palate's different now. I just had coffee. I'm rushing around doing something. It's not going to hit in the right way. But in terms of like the experiences, I would say the UF13, because it was also, for being a similar blend to the Liga, was just so radically different in its performance, and I loved the little pigtail on it and the look of it. I will say, blend first always for me. It's got to be a good blend, but there is something about looking at something with like a really nice band on it, whether it's embossed or whether there's something that like it feels, when you feel a sense of normality with it. Like I can look at, I haven't gotten there yet because you just did the rebrand, but it's something that like I can look at that and be like, oh, this has just been a brand that's been around forever. Like you feel comfortable with it. Yeah. Like it just feels like it fits there. You know, like when you look at the Budweiser logo, like, yeah, that's just been there forever. At some point that logo was brand new. Mm-hmm. But when you see a cigar band and you're like, between the color of the wrapper and how the band looks and if it has embossing or not, and then also with the blend, there's something about all those things coming together that you're like, it feels like this has been around for eternity. Like this cigar was meant to be. Original Las Calaveras definitely had that to it, where it's like this just, and now obviously that logo has become so iconic within your line, but it felt so right, that first one you released.
One of the ones for me was, I can remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah, tell me about like a couple of years.
I'm going to give you one. 1998. You were like what, 7 maybe? I don't know.
I was 8.
You were 8. I wasn't that far off.
I was 8.
The trade show at that time was called RTDA.
Yeah.
And it was in Nashville. and I was working for CAO. And so it was at Gaylord Opryland, and we were in a suite in the hotel. And I was there. It was me, Tony Borani, a bunch of people from Cigar Aficionado, and I think Pete Johnson was there as well. And Tony was smoking a cigar, and he gave me a cigar to smoke. And I'm smoking this. I'm like, holy God, this is fantastic. No band. And I'm smoking his little Robusto. I'm smoking. I'm like, this is amazing. He's like, okay. And he took his cigar, cut it off, and wiped whatever, that whole unsanitary thing. And he gives me this one. And I'm smoking. I said, this is really good too, but this is even better. I said, what is this? He said, Bahia Gold Robusto.
I knew you were going to say Bahia.
His cigar that he was smoking was a Cohiba from Cuba Robusto, and I thought the Bahia Gold Robusto was even better. And that cigar to me was like unreal. That cigar.
3 people, you, Steve Saka, and it was either Mike or Nick. I think it was Michael Hurt. Because I after you told me that story, one of the questions I would ask in my podcast is I would ask people, like, what's a cigar from like the boom days or like the tail end of the boom day, from your early days that's either not around anymore or whatever, but that you like wish was still around in that incarnation. And a bunch of them, like Steve Saka, the first thing I was Bahia was like unreal.
Unbelievable. Bahia Gold Robusto was fantastic.
I think the brand is, I think CI like owns
I don't know what
the brand and they do like a bundle thing.
I hadn't even heard from Tony for years. And then Pete dialed me into this new hand-rolled movie that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so they actually, Jesse and the guys came out here and they did an interview with me to be included in the movie. And so they sent me the uncut version of the movie to watch. And Tony's in it.
Oh, wow.
And my first thing is I text Pete. I'm like, how did you find Tony? Where is he? What's going on? And he's like, he's in Sacramento and I have no idea what he's doing. So I was just like, it was just so cool to see Tony again. And he was just, back then Tony was like bigger than, you couldn't get near his booth. Like wow. Literally, like there was like a sea of people like 4 deep. And you're just kind of going, where is he?
Did it have like the fanboy culture? I don't like using that term necessarily, but like even amongst retailers, like, everyone's lined up outside of you or Steve or JD. Like they're just like so excited to like get to talk. Was it like that back then to a degree?
It was like that, but times 3 with Tony.
Really?
Oh yeah. It wasn't like Tony had this aura about him, but his product was just so good and so unique and so ahead of its times that people were just like flocking to it.
If you had to like, I know it's not going to be a fair question, but I just want to get a sense of like its profile. Out of your brands, what comes the closest in terms of like how that one tasted?
I don't think we do anything that comes close to what Tony was doing.
Really?
Yeah, it was that good. It was really good.
And wasn't he in Costa Rica or something?
It was coming out of Tabacalera Tambor in Costa Rica, the same place that we got the first CAO Aniversario Maduros out of for like 9 months.
That was another one people said.
That was a great cigar, but same house. And it was really good. And it's funny because the Aniversario Maduro really put CAO on the map. We were at the point, I just started with them in 96. 97, we're struggling to keep the doors open. 98, we get that cigar from that factory. And then it was like crazy for 9 months. And then they stopped production on it. But I remember
why
Tony wanted us out. He's like, hey, you gotta kick them out of the factory. I want the production to be in my brands, not CAO's brands. Another story. But I remember asking George Brightman from Cigar Aficionado magazine, like, why is this cigar so good? He's like, there's Italian cigarette tobacco in it. And I was like, oh, come on. I've heard everything, right? He's like, no, I'm telling you, I taste it. That's what it is. Go back to this hand-rolled movie. And Tony's in there, and he's talking candidly. He's like, I'm going to tell you now what the secret was to my cigars. There's Italian tobacco in it. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, Brightman was right. Like there was.
I wonder if were you with CAO when they did the CAO Italia? Was that after you?
Yeah, no, I was with CAO from 96 to 2010.
I can't remember. I don't remember what year they released that. But
Italia, I don't know. It was all kind of everything was in triplicate with CAO.
Right.
So it was like we had the Aniversario Maduro, then it was the Cameroon, then it was the Extreme. Then Brasilia came out and it was Brasilia, Italia, America. So it was like the same kind of thing repeated 3 times.
I don't think I ever smoked an Italia, but if that was this kind of like secret, That would have been a great place to utilize it.
Yeah, but nobody knew it at the time.
Yeah.
And then kind of years later, we figured it out. But that was the secret in that blend. And that was a great cigar, too. Another one that stood out in my mind was in 2003, also the trade show being in Nashville. And Pete was walking around on the floor. He was still working for Grand Havana.
Yeah.
And he had this cabinet of cigars opened. And I would always go up to him and say, oh, dude, what's good out there? And this year I went up to him and I said, what's good out there? He's like, try this. This is my cigar. And there was unbanded cigars in there. I think they were Cazadores. And he said, try this. I said, what is this? He's like, it's my cigar. It's called Tatuaje. I'm like, what? He's like, Tatuaje. I'm like, okay. So I cut it and I lit it. I'm like, immediately, I just told him, I'm like, dude, if you can do this on a regular basis, you are going to change the game. It was that freaking good.
He is, there's a few game changers. Pete is probably like the most recent one.
I always say that.
Like,
he's all humble. He's like, no, man, there's guys before me. There was Tony, Ernie.
Well, the good guys always say that. You always say that.
He always says that. But to me, like, there's no Pete Johnson, then there's no Crowned Heads, there's no Luzion, the list goes on and on.
He made it that, like, hey, you can do something fun and interesting with a concept and have a very good traditional style cigar. Not that he was doing boring traditional, but I mean, like, he wasn't doing some kind of gimmicky, like, oh, I grew the tobacco in my backyard. Like, he was still doing high-end traditional premium work. But he's like, why can't you do it? Like, put it in a coffin and call it this thing. Tap into the nostalgia or the creative part of it.
About his expression with Tatuaje was like, hard to pronounce name, high price point at the time, plain brown band, no embossing, it in an unvarnished box. It really changed everything. And like, that was my inspiration. Like when we came out with 4 Kicks or even up to Jericho Hill, I wanted the impression to be the money is going into the cigar, not the packaging. And that was the complete antithesis of what I'd come up with in the industry with CAO. CAO was very packaging forward, very presentation forward, very marketing. And I was like, I want to do the exact opposite with Crowned
Where were you
Heads.
guys getting your stuff made back in the day, besides the anniversario at the in Costa
so
Rica?
Costa Rica lasted 9 months, and then they kicked us out. So then we started looking at other places to, continue that brand, that blend. And I remember clear as day, like Hochi Blanco nailed that blend. I mean, it was like, you couldn't tell the difference. Tim had befriended Nick Perdomo at the time.
Okay.
And so Tim was kind of getting more involved in the day-to-day business at that time. And he says, oh, we're going to go with Perdomo. Perdomo's hot. They're making all these, cigars that are getting great ratings, whatever. So that's how it went over to Perdomo. And then from Perdomo, we started getting production from basically Tarano, I think. And then it was like STG. At the time, it was called something else. But Plasencia did some of the first CAOs back in the day, like CAO Gold and Black were coming from Plasencia, but back then it was not what Plasencia is now.
Well, no. And when they released the Alma Fuerte, and it's funny how, like, Nestor's still like a super nice guy, but I interviewed him right as they were coming out with Alma Fuerte, and he was just like any other guy I've interviewed. He was like a you or like an Ernie.
Yeah.
Now you're in a room with Nestor, you're in a room with like 10 different guys.
Yeah.
Like now they're like a Fuente for a Padron style, kind of family.
They came up real fast.
But I remember when that cigar came out, and I was doing like another podcast or a review of it, and I'm like, it's the best factory you've never heard of. Like, I'm telling you, the highest rated cigars that you've smoked, like and back then everyone was being like real coy about like where stuff was being made. They didn't want to, like Rocky was getting a bunch of his stuff made by them in the early days. Like, no one really wanted to say. But it's funny because they always did good work. Not only do I think that they're doing their best work now,
yes,
overall, but some of the brands that were made by them in the early days and now have their own factories, like Rocky, like I think Rocky's doing his best work now. Like, so it's funny how, like, when everyone kind of gets to focus on their own thing, the product, the quality goes up. Oh yeah. Like I was never a huge fan of the early Rocky stuff, but like the stuff coming out of his Nicaraguan factory, very, very good. Phenomenal work.
I can remember when Rocky was like just getting into it, and it was Indian tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those.
Eric
cigars.
Espinosa worked for him.
Did he?
He was a travel like a broker for him.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And I remember Rocky just. I mean, I don't think anybody ever worked as hard as Rocky.
No.
He built that brand literally event after event, going on the road, and like he would do. Stories were always like epic. Like he would like do the event, then he would go to the owner's house and make dinner for everybody and hang out. It was just literally like tireless. And I mean,
and he must have had and still does such a passion for it, because I'm sure he was making a ton of money. He was like a Hollywood lawyer.
He was a lawyer, yeah.
Like and he had like, I think he represented Schwarzenegger at some point or something. Like I'm sure he had a great career, but to go back and like kind of have to hit the road like that, like as a brand owner, because how many guys are like, oh, I want to do a cigar company, and then they don't put any.
But I see that he built that brand that way, but I don't think that's the only way to build a brand.
I don't think it is either, but I think that people who try relying on like, oh well, I'll just invest money in it and I'll put my name on it and then it'll work.
Yeah,
I think they're usually in for a rude awakening. You have to have good product. But one of the things I like about Guy Fieri and the Knuckle Sandwich is, first of all, they have a handshake. I mean, listen, Eric is the kind of guy that like you have a handshake agreement with him, you better abide by that handshake agreement. You'll never find somebody more loyal than Eric Espinosa, but like don't mess around. But he puts the time, like Guy puts the time in with that.
He's legit about that.
He is. And Eric even told me, I think I did it when I was writing an article on Eric and I interviewed him. And he's like, we get his like filming schedule, like where he's going to go film Triple D. Mm-hmm. We follow him. He films there during the day. And then we schedule a cigar event at like the closest shop that sells our product at night. So he's constantly like doing these events.
I think that's why that worked, because there's a long list of celebrity-driven cigars in our industry.
I can't think of another successful one.
I can't either. But it works because he's actually legitimately involved and passionate about that cigar. I remember I was at a trade show and one of their reps, this is a friend of mine, and he showed me a video that literally like Guy did, just sent it out to the sales force, and he had landed the cover of CA. Yeah. And he said, guys, this is just like such a huge honor to me. And he was like, it was just so sincere. He was like, he's like real, you know what I mean?
I met him at the trade show this year. We're actually, I'm not going to say too much, but we're doing a project with him and Eric. Okay. And he's like, and we sat with him for like 15 minutes, and he looks you in the eye when he introduces you, he remembers your name. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, like I was with Brad, like Brad's the big dog there. Right. But he was looking at me and being like, Nick, if we do this on this day, can you get this done? And I'm like, yes, yes, Guy Fieri. And I wanted to tell him, like, just so you know, every time me and my girlfriend are in a hotel, we watch You Not. Like, that's all we watch. Because like hotel channels is like, there's like nothing, there's no Netflix or anything. We leave on Food Network and we only watch your show. So it's fun now. Like, we just came back from a trip and we were watching Diners, Drives, and Diners, Dive.
I can never get
it right. Yeah, I can never. I think it's Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
Okay.
And I'll be watching it, and I'm like, and like he had his son on the other day. Guy. Not only do I know, but he had his son on. They were doing it. They were eating something, and his son is wearing like a knuckle sandwich shirt. And I'm like, they're wearing the shirt.
I think it's great for the industry as a whole.
What are some of the celebrity cigars that you? Because I'll tell you a few that you remember. That were
I remember Mike Ditka. I remember Jim Belushi.
I remember. Ditka was with Camacho, right?
Ditka was with Camacho.
And what was that other brand? There was something else. Camacho. There was another guy. I'm just saying this. I think it was like a Jewish name, like Edelstein or something. There was another guy who had like a brand within Camacho at that time.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I have to Google it. I can't remember it. But I remember the Ditka one.
That one failed. The Lone Wolf one, obviously. George Hamilton. I don't know if you...
I remember George Hamilton.
He was like really tan.
Yeah, he was in The Godfather 3.
And he played Evil Knievel.
And he played Evil Knievel.
And I'll tell you what, I was at one of my first trade shows. He was the guest speaker at a luncheon, and I was sitting there, and he actually had a place in Beverly Hills. It was like a cigar bar, Hamilton's, and then he had his own brand. But he talked so eloquently about the cigar business, and I'd been in it for like a year, and I left that room going, I have the coolest job in the world. This is so amazing. Like, he made you feel like You know what I mean?
Made George Hamilton.
It's just the way he talked about cigars as an industry. That one obviously not around.
Do you want to know what the biggest dump was?
Which?
George Lopez did a cigar.
Never heard of it.
When he had remember when he had his show, not the George Lopez show, he had his like talk show, like George Lopez Tonight.
I don't watch TV.
So he had even if you did, you wouldn't have seen this. Okay. It was on like TBS 15 years ago. It was like a late night show. And he went out and made George Lopez Tonight cigars. And it was 4 cigars. And they were in like not a leather pouch, but like kind of like it was like a kind of a fabric-y pouch.
Okay.
And of course, our company at the time was so bad at buying. I think we bought 10,000 of these pouches. 6 years, they were in the Whippany store. We were giving them away with like, buy anything like more than a 5-pack. We'll just give them these, and we were handing them out for free. They were, and then are you into boxing at all?
Yeah.
You know Burt Sugar?
Of course, legendary.
So,
I didn't know he did a cigar, but he always had a cigar with him.
So he did a cigar, and I wasn't here for this. This is before my time, but he did a cigar. This is back in the Lou Rothman days. And he did an event at the Whippany store. And not only was he apparently a dick to everyone, they caught him stealing cigars. No. He was going in the store and like putting them in his bag. And there was a whole big issue about it. And actually, we were just cleaning out some stuff in our warehouse in North Carolina the other day. And I'm like, what is this? There was this weird code for like books. It was a bunch of like Burt Sugar's like boxing book that he wrote that I guess they had planned this whole marketing thing for. They had been sitting in the warehouse for like 20 years.
He's not with us.
No, he was old. Like 20 years ago, he was like
always had the fedora and the fedora
chewing on a cigar. Yeah. Jeremy Piven just did. I thought that one would have worked because it was Dion. But again, I guess he did it, and then like, hey, you got to come to this event. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like they just don't. Conor McGregor's one.
I kind of think it goes against, like, it's almost a hurdle. Like if you attach a celebrity to it, it's like people automatically think gimmick. Right. And you got to overcome that obstacle.
Right, which is the only reason it works with Guy is because he's involved in it. He's involved, like he helped pick the blends.
I saw Conor McGregor's cigar, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit because
I thought it looked pretty cool.
It looked really good, but I remember it was 2017. It was right after the Mayweather fiasco.
Yeah,
and I said, "This, he's just coming out with Proper 12," and I'm like, "Let's do a fucking Conor McGregor cigar or whatever." So I do my research. I find his manager. I remember his name was Adi Attar, I believe. And I somehow got a hold of the guy, email or whatever. And I made my pitch. I sent the product, and let him smoke it and this and that. And I was really this was my thing. I wanted to do a project with Conor McGregor. And I remember Adi wrote back, says, yeah, can't touch tobacco. Can't touch tobacco. I'm like, you just did a whiskey. He's like, that's different. But we can't ever touch tobacco because Conor's an athlete and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, I was kind of bummed. But then when I saw him coming out with this, I was like, I guess he...
And also, it's like not from... Like, I know the factory it's from. It's a factory that's it's not well known in general. Yeah. And the people who do know it ain't... I'm not going to speak of it here. It ain't tremendous. But that's what I
can't... That was only 2017, so...
That's what I can't stand when sometimes you see some of these celebrity cigars... I'm like, oh, where's it being made? And I'm like, I've never even heard it. Like, how do they get in touch with this small factory that like no one's ever heard of? Like, they never go with a big guy, like
right.
They never go with a Drew Estate or like a U or whatever. I'm like, you got like maybe that's one of the reasons your products fails. Is like some shyster got you at an event and it's like, I make cigars, and it turns out it's just this crummy little factory. Like
and Karl Malone had a cigar too, not too long ago.
Yeah, he owns a shop. Last I remember, he was a customer of ours for wholesale.
Okay.
Like I think one of our guys had like talked to him a couple of times, like, and he bought some stuff at wholesale.
But he is on brand for a minute.
He did. Well, then there's like the Rocky guys. Like he got some athletes. Like he got Gary Sheffield.
Yeah.
He did somebody.
Who's the linebacker?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis had a cigar.
David Ortiz has one
Big
with
Poppy or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember who makes it. If you told me, I would remember.
It's still around though.
Yeah, it still putters around there.
But again, I think it's like it's an obstacle you have to overcome.
Yeah, Guy said when he got it, and this is the story Eric told me, that when he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, he's like, all right, I finally made it. I want to do this cigar project, and I want to do it like it's my business. Not just like, how a celebrity, I'll attach my name to this, give me a percent, whatever, I'll show up to one thing. So he does it like it's, like he's Eric. Like it's his business. I'm going to go and I'm going to support this and I'm going to do the whole thing. Most guys, they just, like if you had an event at a small shop in Vermont, David Ortiz ain't going to that. Like he's not showing up.
Yeah.
Like he might, if you had some grandiose thing at like one of our bigger stores and it was like a 400 person ticketed event, maybe, but otherwise, like he's not showing up. Guys going to like mom and pop shops and like doing events and packing the place out. And on top of that, have you smoked any of the knuckle sandwiches?
I think I've had a couple.
It's
a legit
really
cigar.
good.
The cigar
they're
is
really good. I mean, it's Eric. Eric's only going to do
Eric's
that
not going
stuff.
to do anything bad.
No.
Tyson had a cigar with Gurkha.
I'll tell you about that offline.
And I'm like, that's probably one of the biggest celebrities.
The only bigger disaster than his fight that he had with Jake Paul was this, and I'll tell you about it.
I couldn't think if somebody held a gun to my head and said who would be a celebrity you'd want to actually do something with. I think the only one I've thought about like as a pipe dream would be Michael Jordan, because he's known to be a cigar enthusiast. He's the GOAT. He's iconic. But
here's the thing.
But even then, it would be difficult.
But
he's not going to do any.
You're doing this crazy wish list. You have celebrities who smoke your cigars. You would do like you have guys.
We all do, I guess.
But you have guys who are an aficionado smoking saying that your cigar is their favorite.
Funny story. 2000 and whatever. Brad Paisley.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So Brad Paisley's now tour manager is like literally in my backyard, like this. Anyway, we're friends. And so he hits me up and he says, hey, Brad's going to be on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. He loves your stuff. Send me some cigar or drop some cigars at my house and some swag and I'll make sure we get a plug. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And fast forward, the issue comes out. And I asked him, I said, Kendall, how did it go? He's just like, went great, man. Brad was talking you guys up. He wore the trucker hat, the 4 Kicks hat, da-da-da-da-da. Get the issue, not a word.
They
edit it all out. And even the hat, they ghosted the logo. They airbrushed the logo out. I was just like, wow. Because we weren't advertising.
Well, listen.
That's a true story.
You work with Tim now, and I know Tim's got friends there, so I'll be more tame on this show than am my own. But let's just say there's a reason they ain't doing great these days.
Yeah.
I remember that they did a look back article maybe a year or two later, where they would just do, it was like just a 2-pager with a celebrity. It's like your favorite cigar of today, and his was Mother Church. Like
I do remember that.
So I mean, you got guys that you can like. If you wanted to, I think it would be cooler if they approached you, like to go to them. Like I feel like there's always somebody knocking on a celebrity's door trying to do something.
I'd rather do something on our own and have somebody that's a celebrity actually enjoy it. And that's fine, that's good. But that whatever, and $10 you get a cup of coffee.
Why don't we do a Brad Paisley Mother Church?
Yeah,
secondary band. Come on, we'll have an event at the Ryman.
And on that
note, after we do this, I want to start talking some business about that because I'm all jacked up. About
this has got to be our longest one ever.
We're about 125.
We could keep going if you want, but
No,
we'll wrap it up, man. It's just been fun, dude.
Dude,
it's been a lot of fun.
Even though we talk all the time, we always find something to talk about.
I know. What's the best cigar that's come out in 2025? We'll leave it at that.
Best cigar for 2025?
Yeah. So we're in August now. So the first 7 months. And it does not have to.
Can I give like a couple?
Yeah, and you don't have to plug our stuff. I'm coming at you from a cigar geek standpoint as opposed to like a brand owner standpoint.
No, I'm gonna tell you a couple that came out this year that I would recommend people check. And I'm not even gonna plug any JR stuff.
That's fine.
Because I do think Broadway does rank up there. Absolutely. I'm a sucker for Maduro,
Yeah, yep.
I will say, and I'm not one to give them a lot of credit, as you know, and I know it's very expensive, but the Monte Cristo M, which is like the $30 one that they released, it was before the trade show. Probably one of the best Connecticut's I've ever, like, blows a lot of the Davidoff stuff out of the water. Like,
Who's making that?
I know AJ like fermented the wrapper for him. I don't know if it's made at AJ or not, but I know he was involved in like fermenting
Monte Cristo M. Okay.
Monte Cristo M. What else? Oh, there the HVC. He had a 10th anniversary that came out this year. There's something Rosso or Rossi. Excellent. HVC's making tremendous stuff.
You sent me what is the bundle called?
He does these short filler.
Is it called Pan Caliente?
So he has a line called Pan Caliente, and this is where I think it was a little bit confusing. So he has a line called Pan Caliente.
Yeah.
That's like a premium line.
Okay.
It's kind of like his main core line. It's like probably $9-10. That's excellent. That was a cigar that like really drew me to them.
Okay.
And then we started really working with him last year, and he comes in and he's like, I want you guys to try something. I know you guys do a lot of bundles. He's like, I'm not like doing this with everybody, but he's in a small factory, so he only gets X amount of tobacco, and he wants to utilize as much as he can. So like I made like from like my short filler stuff, I just made these bundles. They're like, $250 each retail. And our
Is it
team,
short fillers or sandwich?
It's a sandwich. Give me a sandwich.
Okay.
Our team smoked half a bundle like in that meeting.
Yeah.
They were, and then I even sent you some.
And
they
I
were
got it.
so
I was like,
good.
this cigar is $250. I'm like, holy.
So he's got
good.
he's got
Very
a Maduro coming out, like a broadleaf Maduro version of that coming out. But right now he has a Connecticut, and then we have a Habano that's an exclusive. I sent you the Habano, I think.
So good.
So HVC is really doing tremendous work. Listen, there was a lot of great. We're just starting to get top 25 like kind of rolling. I'm going to talk to some vendors and be like, hey, what do you have? Do you have anything slated for the end of the year that you think is going to be like, because that's something I never usually do, is I kind of just like make the list, and then a month later you'll come out with something and I'll be like, damn it, this would have been on the list if it was here before we made it. So I'm kind of going to reach out to some guys and be like, hey, do you have something coming out like before November that's like a big drop? If so, can you send me a sample of it, just like one? Because then if we can coordinate this coming on the list. But there was a lot of good stuff this year. The Romeo 120, the 150th from Romeo was also very good. There was a new limited edition knuckle sandwich. There was just a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff this year.
Nick
came out with a 10th. It was an anniversary of something.
El Wednesday?
No.
That's the only thing that's probably 10 years old, no?
No, I think it might have been a Tabernacle.
Okay.
And then he came out with a new event only one that I'm sorry, I am blanking on the name of, but he gave me one to trade show.
Melanick was.
Yeah, Melanick was
now that's the
regular production. So this is basically to replace Melanick as like an event only.
There's a guy, great example, doesn't do a ton of in-store events, but just built a quality freaking product and has taken off like.
He built a quality product, and we and you have talked about it. First of all, genuine guy too. Love Nick, nicest guy.
Yep.
Tells really cool stories.
Oh yeah.
And I think him and Joe Rogan are like, it's not just that he makes the cigar for Rogan. They're like just very similar guys. Like the thing, I'll smoke an Olmec, and then a week later, Rogan will have on a guy on his podcast talking about like the Olmec civilization, like their way of thinking and like the kind of things that they're interested in. And I think a lot of guys like kind of my age who have been kind of Rogan fans, and he's had this blow up the past decade or so. So I think there's an attraction there too, but also, listen, he takes his time with everything.
He sent me one of those Joe Rogan cigars. He sent me a bunch of stuff, and one cigar was in there, and it had the band on it.
Yeah.
And I think I put something up on my IG, and dude, I was like flooded with like, where did you get that? I had no idea what I had. I'm like, what is?
Because he won't sell it. And I don't even think he's ever asked Joe, hey, should we sell this? I think he's like, no, I'm just gonna make this for him.
He doesn't need to.
No.
He doesn't need to.
No.
He's doing so much good stuff, man.
I'll show you. I think I've told you about a project that we're doing with him.
I'm excited for that to come out.
I got to get him. The problem with Nick is, and I love Nick to death. He's like a scientist. It just takes him a while. He's like, I gotta he was like, he's making a new wrapper just for this project. He's like, I gotta go up to Connecticut. I gotta make sure it's ready, man. And I'm
he's
like,
great, dude. It's like, you know,
he is.
Years ago, like when like all the, like Fuente Senior passed, you know, Padron Senior passed, all that. I went to Ernesto and I was like, dude, I'm so bummed. Like, you were like the last of the Mohicans from that, you know, who's gonna carry the torch when you step down or whatever. And he's like, oh no, bro, the industry. But then I think you look, and guys like Nick or Pete or Dion, those are going to be the guys that carry it forward into the next, you know, and guys like you are coming up behind that are going to continue that passion of the product as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I don't know what kind of guy I'm going to end up at the end of this, because I'm in this.
Do you want to be a brand owner?
No. You guys work too hard.
You work pretty damn hard, man.
No, you know, I'm going to tell you, I would never be a brand owner, nor would I ever work for a specific brand, because I enjoy way too much working with all you, because I've met some of like my closest friends in this industry. Like, it's not sales reps, you know, it's not those guys. It's you and Nick and Terrence from Aganorsa. Renair Hostos now I've become close with. It's and having an idea for I mean, I guess I can be a brand owner because like you have relative like flexibility in like who you're working with.
Right.
But my problem is I am all over the place creatively, where I love what you do. I love what Nick does.
Right.
I love what this guy does. I wouldn't be able to like make a cohesive brand out of it, because I would think too many different things are so cool. I wouldn't be able to tell the story like in a right way, because I don't know. I like doing it like that. I like getting to, you know, having an idea for a project and having it click where like this would be perfect for this factory and this guy. This would be perfect for there's two Altadis brands. I don't think they would ever let me do this. That I would love to get them to like, because I think they would be such great fits. Like you with a Henry Clay, because of
Pete's already done that.
He did, but Pete did it at a time where Altadis wasn't really hammering it in terms of a lot of the creative. I think that how Henry Clay has kind of been branded now, like the Warhawk, which is such a big success for them. And they're doing some other cool stuff with it as well. The Americana of it, I think, is you 100%. I think it fits perfectly in with the vibe and the kind of like how you represent the culture. I would love to see Nick do a Romeo.
Yeah, I could see that.
I would love to see Nick do a Romeo. Monty is like, it's like working with like a Spielberg. It's like it's too big to like kind of how you can't really have that much fun with it, because it's got these like parameters of what you can do. Romeo is like that in some ways, but it's a little more flexible. And Romeo is seen a little bit more as like the everyman kind of cigar. I think he would do something, but like you got to let it. The same thing with Henry Clay is like, give it to you. Like, we got to let you roll with it. We can't be like, well, it's got to look like this. And it's like, no. If you're attaching the other guy, you got to let the other you're doing that for a reason. You got to let the other guy kind of drive. So
it's tough to touch those iconic brands.
I know it is. It really is. You did a Monty. You did a Monty.
That was 2017.
Yeah.
And
because Brad,
dude, that was like such an ego stroke. That was I was just like, you want us to do a riff on Monte Cristo? I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool. Although it kind of went under the radar, but yeah, that was a neat opportunity.
Everything from how the Casa de Monte Cristo stores advertise now, to how Altadis does things, to even how we do things. Like now we're banging on all cylinders. It was kind of like 2020 is where we really started to see like, hey, we got to do things a different way in terms of how we launch product in all of our kind of assets of the company. 2017, yeah, and even the same thing with like I said, the tattoo with Pete was a great cigar. It just like no one really cared about Altadis at the time.
Right.
Like they weren't, and it wasn't done in a creative style of Pete. It was kind of like, here's Henry Clay, and we put the word tattoo on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there was nothing exciting about it, visually. So, but I'll work it up to the flagpole. We both know Oliver. We'll see if we can get Oliver to shake some things loose.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be
But
fun, man.
thank you so much for having me, man. This
yeah,
has been
man.
awesome.
It was a blast. Thank you for coming down, and
of course.
finally got to do a podcast of some sorts.
I know.
Appreciate it.
I think this is only like our 4th time ever hanging out in person.
Dude, I feel like we've hung out like every week.
I know.
Though.
I know.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
funny.
once we get you up to New Jersey, one day.
I will do it at some
Yeah.
point. At some when my personal life kind of.
When you're about to retire and you're doing a farewell tour.
I don't know if I'm going to retire. I hope
should.
Laura doesn't see this because you. But
Retire but be a consultant.
The thing of it is, yeah, that sounds familiar. The thing that scares me about retirement is like, then you got like, you're just waiting to die. You're just like, you know what I mean? Unless you're retiring with the FU money and you can go buy a house on the beach and a house here and a house.
Yeah.
Then that's a different story. But I don't know, man. It's just like, you got to have a reason to get up every morning.
Keep going, man.
I still got it in me, and it'll be a minute. Although I took a few days off last week just to spend at home with our daughter, and I had a blast doing nothing.
But
just
how
going
many
bowling?
How many more days? Well, you're a family man, so it's different.
I am. I love
but how
my
many
family.
how many more days could you have done that before you're like, all right, I need to do some kind of like work? Like
I
get
don't
like
know,
that.
man. I was actually contemplating taking it another day, and I'm just like, there's a lot of things that I got to get back to the office for. But
I will say, my girlfriend has helped me with that a lot because I just enjoy spending time with her.
yeah,
But before that, if like, oh, you have the next 5 days off, by day 2, I'm like, I need to get on my email. I need to be doing something. Like I couldn't not work.
well, the other thing is then these phones,
yeah,
right? So even though I'm
the whole
not
time.
here, I could still like check on social media. I could look at this. I could text this person that. Without, if you really want to go off the grid, get rid of that phone.
Mhm.
That's a different story. But
I could see you doing that. I could see you getting rid of the phone or going to a flip phone, something like that. You seem like the kind of like, I just got a flip phone now, no social, just that's
there's
it.
been times where I'm like, man, I would just love to just get rid of. I saw a thing, Jason Momoa, but I love that. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
In his house, they don't have any like, no iPads, no phones, no screens. It's just like you're home, you're with the family, and that's it. And I think that's really commendable.
I'm sure Jason Momoa's got other cool stuff in his house that you don't need the phone and the thing.
Probably, but
If you're living
nonetheless,
in a single 1-bedroom community apartment, having a phone's not a bad thing.
yeah.
But I get you. No, they're.
It's still fun. I'll leave it
is.
at that.
No,
it's
it
still
absolutely
fun to come
putting
in here
this
and
away
create.
and not having to worry about it. Like, I'm on vacation or something with the lady. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know where my phone is right now. It's the best feeling.
For me, it's like the best of both worlds. It's nice to know that I can disconnect and enjoy being home with my wife and my daughter, and that's a great place. But it's also nice to know that I can come in here and enjoy the creative process.
Exactly.
Best of both worlds.
No,
all good.
I love it. You're an inspiration, my friend.
Appreciate you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's it. So until the next one, keep smoking Crown Heads, keep smoking Oz Family Cigars. You know the tagline? And have the best day of your life.
I was gonna go with the original, the Crown Heads.
What was the original tagline?
No, the
Have the best
Carve
day
Your
of
Own
your life.
Path.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Oh, I love that's what you got to do, man. That was I love this CYOP.
I know there's a guy in Germany, Bibo. He's got CYOP on his knuckles.
Yeah.
God bless him.